Welcome to Hungry for Travel. I'm Carol Yelverton, and we're bringing you to the extraordinary Galapagos Islands. We'll show you some great travel options for this special destination off the coast of Ecuador. We'll also whip up a bright ceviche and some local comfort food, a rustic cheesy potato soup. First, though, let's show you what all this Galapagos excitement is all about. With no natural predators, over 9,000 species have been able to evolve, and these amazing creatures have no fear of humans. After a day of visiting with them and doing lots of other fun things, you're going to be ready for a refreshing meal. Cool ceviche is just about perfect, and it's actually pretty easy to put together. We're doing a ceviche de camarón right now, which is a ceviche made with shrimp. So a ceviche is a cold fish dish filled with bright flavors, and it's just the most refreshing thing you'd want to eat. So I've boiled 2 pounds of cleaned shrimp, peeled cleaned shrimp, until they're just pink. We don't want to see them get tough, so we really have to be really careful when we cook them. Then I've taken 2 cups of the water that they were in, and I've added shrimp base to it to create tons of flavor. Now you could also boil the shells down in the water to get a richer stock if you want. Either way, it's fine. So what I have here to show you I've sliced some onion, and what I did to this onion earlier is I put it into cold water with some salt, and I let it sit there for about 5 minutes, and then I drained it. Now, that makes it less bitter, and then it's just going to be so much nicer and more refreshing, and you don't have that bitter quality in the ceviche itself. Okay, so let's get the ingredients into the bowl and mix this baby up. So let's start with these beautiful onions. There we go, and then 2 or 3 tomatoes. I just did 2 today. Chopped fresh tomatoes. We start to mix that up, pretty easy. And then we start with our liquids. We have 2 sets of liquids today. So we have 1 cup of fresh lime juice and 3/4 of a cup of orange juice. So we're going to put that right in. And then that shrimp broth that I told you about, that's going to go in here too. And everything's cooled off, so there's no hot food here. It's all about nice, cool flavors, all right? So that's in there. The lime juice with the orange juice. It's a cup of lime juice and 3/4 of a cup of orange juice. Then, this is a little bit of a surprise, but yes, ketchup. We're putting ketchup in for a little shrimp cocktail kick. And we're also going to put in mustard, believe it or not, just about a teaspoonful. And this brown mustard is pretty similar to the kind of mustard that you're going to find. So we're going to put a little of that in. There we go. All right. So I think time to stir it up a little bit. Okay. Excellent. Now, if you like a little heat, you can also add chopped jalapeno pepper, however much you want. I'm not putting in now, any in now just because, some people don't like it with heat, and it's always easy to add it if you want to add it. So we have this going, and then we're going to put our shrimp in, our beautiful 2 pounds of cold shrimp, and we're going to let this enjoy itself in this beautiful bath of marinade here. And then the other thing I'm going to add is about 2/3 of a cup of chopped cilantro. Get that in. And so this is as simple as it is, okay? Now, the other thing I'll do is add a little bit of salt and pepper and some ground pepper to taste. And then really what you have to do is let this sit in the refrigerator until it's nice and chilled. And when it's really cool, just cool and cold, you can even keep it in a while if you want to. You've got your ceviche. So take a look at this. I want to show you the finished product. This is one of the most refreshing dishes you can find on a hot summer day or an evening. What I love here is the texture of this. The shrimp is so delicious. It's just the colors are beautiful. The broth makes a difference. And in Ecuador, you can see there's a lot of broth in the ceviche. That's what differentiates this from the other types of ceviche you'll find in Latin and South America. So you actually are going to need a bowl to ladle all the goodness in. And then you have it, and it's just like one of those perfect foods, little tart with the lime, but also the orange gives it a little gently sweet flavor. So I hope you make it, and I hope you enjoy it. In the Galapagos and all of Ecuador, you have to serve your ceviche with popcorn, by the way. It's a food pairing you wouldn't expect, but it works. There are lots of islands to explore in the Galapagos, and if you want to take in as many as you can, think about a cruise. Lindblad National Geographic offers some amazing expeditions.
I think that anybody that has any interest in nature and natural history has at some time been inspired by Charles Darwin and what he found during his visit to the Galapagos Islands. I certainly was. This is a strange, beautiful, remarkable place. The word unique absolutely applies here. There are so many creatures that exist nowhere else on Earth. The proximity of these animals, the degree to which they lack fear, that you can just stand next to them and they just look at you or ignore you, is unlike anything anywhere in the world. It will never leave you if you go to the Galapagos Islands. You will have stories for the rest of your life, I promise you. Since my first visit to the Galapagos Islands in 1966, and I remember vividly the first time I went there, how extraordinary it was, how surprised I was, how delighted I was at more or less everything I saw. And I just came back from the Galapagos last week, and I was reflecting on the time there, and I don't think I felt much different. Every single time I've been to this extraordinary place, it amazes me. It's the most remarkable place on Earth. I believe that we offer a really, really compelling and interesting way to go there for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is that we've been doing this for a very long time, back since 1966. And so we have come to understand the islands, understand the opportunities, understand what people are looking for. I believe perhaps better than anybody out there.
How truly extraordinary. People also stay at hotels and do day trips, and you'll find dedicated scuba excursions too. Soup is a staple in the Galapagos and really all over Ecuador. It's typically a first course for lunch and dinner. Let me show you the classic. It's called Locro de Papas. It's a creamy potato and cheese soup. So I have melted butter in my nice big stock pot, and now I'm going to add to it one nicely chopped onion. We're going to let that stir around. I have 2 garlic cloves here. And we're going to add, 2 teaspoons or so of cumin, which gives it a really nice flavor. And then we have our secret ingredient, and I love this stuff. It's called achiote powder. It comes from the pods of a South American tree. And just look at this red color. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's a little peppery. It smells just, oh my gosh, it's just like a peppery, sweet smell. There's like a feeling of nuts in here and of all kinds of things. It's really different and it's just a wonderful flavor. So when you add this, you will have a soup that tastes like nothing else. This is going to really change the game for you. So definitely get some of that. You can buy it online if you can't find it at your local market. And again, it's going to make a huge, huge difference for you. Okay, so now we're going to let that saute for 5 minutes or so until the onions are softened and they're transparent and all the spices have opened up. Now I'm going to quickly walk you through the next steps. So what I have here in this pot, and I left them in cold water because it's really hard to have potatoes out. They tend to oxidize and lose their color. But basically I have 5 pounds of peeled potatoes, and believe me, they're all in here. I don't know if I'm going to drag them all over for you to see, but you get the drift of what I'm doing here. So 5 pounds of potatoes, and then to that, I'm going to cover this with chicken broth. Some people just use the water of the potatoes, but I think the chicken broth really adds a much nicer flavor to it. So now we let this cook down until the potatoes are tender. So that'll take 5-10 minutes, maybe more. I like to use really firm potatoes because they just add so much texture. They're really much nicer that way. And by the way, there are a gazillion variations on this soup in Ecuador. Every abuela or a grandmother has her own recipe. So next, I am going to add, well, actually what I'm going to do is get the masher, the potato masher, the great potato masher, and I'm going to mash these down. And I want to have some chunks left, but I don't need a lot of chunks because we want to have kind of a creamy soup, but it's nice to have some potatoes just for people to bite into. Then I have 3 cups of milk that I'm going to add. Now the best way to do this, because we've got hot soup and cold milk, is to temper it together. So I have my milk here, and what I would do is just ladle out some broth from the soup. Then I'd slowly let it just mix together, and basically the hot and cold temps come together, and it keeps the milk from curdling. So we put this in, and then we just turn up the heat. We let it all cook, stir it around. We let it cook until it's about serving temperature. And so we'll have just this rich soup, beautiful soup. And then when we're ready to serve it, we're actually going to put in about a cup of chopped cilantro. Cilantro, again, is very popular in all South American and Latin cooking, as you know. And then we're going to be looking for a shredded queso fresco cheese, which is basically a smooth white cheese. Mozzarella works perfectly here. I'm putting in about a cup and a half. And then once that cheese goes in and it starts to melt, that's when it's like all the magic happens to this, and it's like it just becomes this amazing soup. So we're all set to serve, and then again, we just, salt and pepper to taste. You always want to salt your food. There is salt in the broth that I use, so I don't want to over-salt it. That's why I'm salting at the end. Typically, I would salt at the beginning. And then again, some pepper to taste. And then we're good to go. So here's a picture of what the finished product looks like, and you can tell it is that total comfort food I was talking about. It's all about that creamy gentleness of the broth, the potatoes all coming together, and then that cheese, that's kind of rich, stringy cheese, which is just so magnificent in there. And the comino and the achiote, they just give it this earthy quality. It just makes you feel good inside when you eat this. And speaking of achiote, just look at the gorgeous orange color it's added. I mean, it's incredible. So you can see that I've garnished this Locro de Papas with thinly sliced avocado, the whites of some scallions, and then some more cilantro. Now, I like a lot of big flavor. That's me. And so I would actually even put some more of the garnishes on the side for people. And I love contrast. So I even squeeze a little lemon on top too. So you can have it as mild or as kicked up as you want. People who have been to the Galapagos Islands say that it is a totally transformative experience. Everywhere you look, you're surrounded by life and all its natural beauty. Hey, there is more to find out about these islands. And so we have another video for you that will show you just more sights and sounds and natural beauty of the Galapagos. Not only is the wildlife magnificent, the environment is spectacular too. You'll find impressive beaches and coral reefs, fascinating forests, and even remnants of the volcanoes that created these islands so long ago. I hope you have enjoyed your Galapagos experience with us. Isn't it truly one of the most special places on Earth? And the visuals never get old either, so we're going to leave you with a last look from Irena Vision. I'm Carol Yelverton. Until I see you again, stay hungry for travel.